In the previous video, we talked to you about a series of stories about the development of various Chinese warplanes, such as J-20, J-16, J-15, etc. Today we talk about J-11B and J-11BG warplanes. Today we talk about the J-11B and J-11BG fighters. Since 2021, the J-11B fighters of the PLA forces have started to be upgraded to the J-11BG standard one after another, which is close to the level of the 4.5 generation fighters. But a question arises, are the more than 300 J-11B fighters undergoing a full mid-cycle upgrade? First, let's talk about the development of the J-11 series of fighters. Until the early 1990s, the PLA Air Force and Naval Air Force were still mainly using J-6 and J-7 fighters. The above-mentioned fighters have limited comprehensive performance, short range and small combat radius. During the same period, Europe, the United States and the Soviet Union have been equipped with various fourth-generation fighters in large quantities. For example, the United States has launched the F-14, F-15, F-16, F-A-18 and other models, and as of 2025, is still launching a variety of improved models. As for the same period of the Soviet Union, has launched the Su-27, MiG-29 and other fighter aircraft. France, which belongs to the European aviation powerhouse, launched the Mirage 2000 series of fighters. Although China started the J-10 program in 1986, the development cycle of fighter aircraft is very long and takes at least more than 10 years. It was impossible to finalize and equip it in a short period of time. Therefore, in 1990, China signed a contract with the then Soviet Union to import 26 Su-27s, and in 1992, Russia delivered these aircraft to China. In the 1990s, the Su-27 was one of the best performing fighters in the army and was mainly used by the main units. Throughout the 1990s, China imported more than 70 Su-27s from Russia, such as Su-27SK, Su-27UBK and so on. In the last 2 years, these fighters have started to be retired one after another. The PLA Air Force and Naval Aviation both need a large number of fourth-generation aircraft, and relying on imports is not a complete solution. Relying on imports is not a complete solution to the problem. Relying on imports is also very easy to be restricted by others. Combining the actual situation and needs in all aspects, China imported the production line of Su-27SK from Russia in the mid-1990s. With Russia providing key components, engines and other equipment, China began to assemble and produce the Su-27SK, also known as the J-11. In 1998, the domestically produced J-11 rolled off the production line, marking the beginning of the fourth generation of Chinese warplanes. However, the Su-27SK, or the domestically produced J-11, belongs to the early level of the fourth generation fighters, especially in the field of radar and integrated avionics has been the troops. All kinds of feedback. The PLA troops for the J-11 fighters' comprehensive performance is not fully satisfied. 2001 China began the domestic J-11B fighter aircraft project. In 2001, China started the domestic J-11B project. China needed to make comprehensive adjustments, enhancements, upgrades and optimizations on the basis of the J-11 to launch a domestic flanker that meets its own needs. The J-11 fighter was originally planned to be produced in 200 units. In the end, only more than 100 were produced. On the basis of the J-11, China used a large number of composite materials to further reduce the weight of the airframe. At the same time, it uses a domestically produced integrated avionics system, a domestically produced 1,493 flat panel slit radar, and mainly uses domestically produced Thunderbolt 12 medium-range rounds, Thunderbolt 8 fighting rounds, and other rounds. The J-11B fighter jet was finalized in 2007 and immediately became a very popular model across the military. As of 2015, more than 300 J-11B series fighters have been produced to equip the Air Force and naval aviation units, including the J-11B, J-11BH, J-11BS, etc. In the early 2010s, the J-11B series fighters are now in production, and the J-11B series fighters are now in service with the Air Force and naval aviation units. In the early 2010s, J-11B and J-10 fighters were the main models of the whole army. In terms of comprehensive performance, the J-11B belongs to the mid-standard of the fourth-generation fighter aircraft, which is obviously better than the previous Su-27SK and J-11. there is no problem with the performance of the J-11B in the 2010s. In 2012, China finalized the J-11BH, J-10A and J-11Bs. In the 2010s, there was no problem with the performance of the J-11B. In 2012, China finalized the J-15 carrier-based fighter aircraft, whose performance is basically comparable to that of the J-11B. After all, it adopts the very mature avionics and radar systems of the J-11B, but the J-11B fighter belongs to the range of the fourth-generation fighter. After entering 2015, there are more and more fourth-and-a-half-generation fighters and fourth-generation converted fighters in China's neighborhood. For example, India imported the Rafale, South Korea imported the F-15K, while Japan and South Korea began to import the F-35A. Compared to the J-11B fighter aircraft has formed a very obvious technical advantage. Of course, after 2016, China has also developed J-10C, J-16, J-20 and other 4.5-generation or 5-generation aircraft. According to foreign media reports, the number of equipment of the above three types of fighters has been close to or exceeded 1,000. They are the absolute mainstay of the PLA forces at this stage. In the last 2 years, with the addition of the J-35, China will form a four-swordsman model of the above four main fighters. However, a problem has arisen, according to the service cycle of warplanes. Generally speaking, warplanes need to be in service for 25 to 30 years. The J-11B was finalized in 2007. Even the first batch has only been in service for 18 years. If the batch produced in 2015 has less than 10 years of service time, in terms of service time it will certainly not be retired. After all, the PLA still has a certain number of J-7 and J-8 fighters still in service. In light of the actual situation, in recent years China has begun to carry out mid-term modernization and upgrading of the J-11B. For example, replacing the new generation of active phased array radar, integrated avionics system and so on. And part of the J-11B engine is replaced from L-31F to domestic 10 turbofan series. In terms of comprehensive performance, it is already close to the level of the fourth-and-a-half-generation fighters. Because of the upgraded J-11BG, the gray and white radome is very obvious. Therefore, it is also called Whitehead J-11. Not only China's J-11B and J-10A, in recent years, India's Su-30MKI, Japan's F-15J, South Korea's F-15K and other fighters have also started the mid-term upgrade. The upgrade package model is also very close. Generally speaking, it is to replace the new radar, integrated avionics system, supporting ammunition and engine and so on. After the upgrades, the fourth-generation fighters of each country need to be able to face the challenges and mission needs of the 2020s and 2030s. A question arises. Will the PLA's force of more than 300 J-11B fighters be fully upgraded in the mid-cycle? I think that even if not all of them will be mid-cycle upgraded, most of them will be mid-cycle upgraded. Firstly, J-11BGs are appearing more and more frequently and have been equipped to many units in the east, west, south and north. Secondly, in terms of actual mission requirements, J-11B, J-10A and other models also need medium-term upgrades. Therefore, most of the batches of more than 300 J-11B series fighters will be upgraded gradually and in batches to J-11BG or J-11BHG standards. After the upgrade, they can be compatible to mount various new types of munitions, such as Thunderbolt 15, Thunderbolt 10 and so on. In addition, with the finalization and mass equipment of J-15T fighter aircraft, referring to the standard and experience of J-11BG, it is expected that the Navy's J-15 early types will also be upgraded one after another.